Factoring notes part 2, slide, divide, bottoms up. So on this set of notes, we're going to focus on trinomials. And the difference is on these trinomials, you are going to have a number out front. So it's not going to be just x squared. You're always going to have a number out front. So we're going to use this method called slide, divide, bottoms up. So when you slide, you're going to slide from your first number to your last number. And what that's going to do is it's going to remind you to multiply these two numbers. So you're going to multiply the 2 and the negative 15. We're still going to use our x method like we used in the other trinomials. 2 times negative 15 gives us negative 30. That number is going to go on the top of our x. The middle number is still going to go in the bottom of our x, negative 1. So that part is still the same. So the only difference right now is just getting that top number, and that's where the slide comes in. All right. The same steps, we're still going to do the same steps to get our side numbers. We're going to think of two numbers that multiply to get negative 30 and add to get negative 1. So remember, since it's a negative 30, it's got to be a positive and a negative number because that's how we get a negative number when we're multiplying. And remember, since this is a negative, the bigger one has to be negative. So negative 6, positive 5. And we're going to set it up the same way we did before, x minus 6, x plus 5. Okay. Now here comes the divide. You divide by that front number. You're going to divide by 2, divide by 2. Okay. So there's our slide and our divide. Reduce your fraction if you can. Always reduce if you can. So 6 over 2 is going to reduce to 3. 6 divided by 2 is just 3. So that's going to turn into a 3. So we get x minus 3. Now for our second one over here, we got the 5 over 2. That doesn't reduce. 5 over 2 does not reduce. So this is where bottoms up comes into play. Bottoms up. The 2 goes up. The 2 is going to go in front of the x. So the 2 goes in front of that x. The 5 stays right there. And this is our answer. And that's how you factor slide, divide, bottoms up. And we're going to practice these. So for our next one, start off by doing your slide. Okay, so when you have a number out front, that's to remind you to multiply. 3 times 2 gives you 6. The 5 from your middle there goes in the bottom. So think of two numbers that multiply to be 6 and add to be 5. So 2 and 3. So put x plus 2, x plus 3. All right, now you divide. You divide by 3. Okay. So 2 divided by 3 right here, our first fraction, that can't be reduced. So you do bottoms up, 3x plus 2. All right, 3 over 3 right here. This 3 over 3 reduces to a 1. So we get x plus 1. And that's our answer. Okay. So on our next one, we're going to slide. Okay, so 7 times 15 is going to be 105. Oops, put that in the wrong spot. All right, let me go back here. All right, so 7 times 15 is 105, and we get negative 38 on the bottom. We know that they have to be two negative numbers because if our top number is positive, that means they have to have the same sign. So we got to think of two numbers that multiply to be negative 105 and add up to be negative 38. So that's going to be 3 and 35. Both negatives. So x minus 3, x minus 35. And remember, we want to divide. Our next step is divide by 7. All right. 3 over 7 can't be reduced, so we do bottoms up. So 7x minus 3. This one can be reduced. 35 divided by 7 is 5. So we get x minus 5. Okay. On D, slide. 2 times negative 20 is negative 40. Negative 3 goes here on the bottom. So since we got a negative 40, they're going to have two different signs, a positive and a negative. Since this is negative, that means your bigger one has to be negative. So let's think of our factors of 40. We've got, 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 3 doesn't work. We got 4 and 10. So remember your calculator trick that I told you about. You can go, if you hit y equals on your calculator, and if you hit y equals, you can do 40 divided by x. And that will show you all the numbers that will give you 40. So let's see, negative 8 and 5. So we do x minus 8. Oop, I don't know what happened there. Okay, I hit something down there. So x minus 8, x plus 5. And we divide by 2. All right, so 8 divided by 2 is going to be 4. So we get x minus 4. This doesn't reduce, so bottoms up. 2x plus 5. All right, moving on. Slide. 8 times 1 is 8. And we put our 6 in the bottom, so two numbers that multiply to be 8 and add up to be 6. 2 and 4, x plus 2, x plus 4. And then you want to divide by 8. Okay, so now on these don't reduce to whole numbers, but our fractions do reduce. So I am going to rewrite these just so it's a little bit neater. So 2 over 8 reduces, 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 8 4 times. You have to reduce your fractions. Even though the fractions don't go away, you have to reduce them. 4 over 8 reduces to 1/2. Okay, so make sure you are reducing your fractions. Now they are reduced, but they still didn't go away. So now we do bottoms up. So we get 4x plus 1. And then here we do bottoms up. We'll get 2x plus 1. And this is our factor problem. So this one's just a little bit different. Fractions didn't go away, but they did reduce, and we still had to do bottoms up. Okay. So on F, okay, we do our slide. We'll do 5 times the negative 16. We'll get negative 80. And we've got a 38. So a negative number means we got different signs. Since this is a positive, our bigger one is positive. Okay. So let's see here. We got to think of two numbers that multiply to be negative 80 and add up to be 38. I'm looking at my calculator to see 40 and 2. Or positive 40, negative 2. Okay. Now, notice here on this one, this is a little bit different. Notice the x squared and the y squared and the xy's in the middle. So when you have it like that, we're going to write it like this. We're going to have x plus 40y and x minus 2y. You're going to set it up like that. You got to have x's and y's both in there. So anytime you see a problem set up with x's and y's like that, this is how you set it up. And now we're ready to divide. You divide by the 5. All right, so 40 divided by 5 right here is going to be 8. So we get x plus 8y. Then the 2 over 5, it doesn't reduce, so it's bottoms up. We get 5x minus 2y. Okay. Now on G, what's really important to do that on these, you always need to be checking for GCF first. We haven't done that so far because we haven't had a GCF first, but on these, we do have a GCF first. It's going to make it easier for one when you do the slide divide bottoms up. But if you don't, it's not going to work. The slide divide, like the factoring isn't going to work. Okay, so this one does have a GCF. Our GCF here is going to be 2. So first we're going to pull out a 2, and that leaves us with 2x squared plus 14xy plus 30y squared. Now here's another one with some x's and y's, so it's going to give us some extra practice. We still have that number out front, so we're going to do our slide. 2 times 30 is going to be 60. We got 14 down here. So two numbers that multiply to be 60 and add up to be 14. Let's see here. What's that going to be? Oh, wait. I didn't pull out a 2 out of the 14. That should be a 7. My bad. This right here. Oh, let me get my eraser. Well, why isn't it erasing? Not sure why isn't it erasing. Okay, so let me just write over this. This should be a 7. That's a 7. Let's see if this erases. Well, I'm not sure why that's not erasing either. So that should be a 7. All right, I selected the wrong one. There we go. Okay, so two numbers that multiply to be 60 and add up to be 7. And I don't think there are any. Okay, so on this one, it's not considered prime because we were able to factor it. So don't say that this is prime, but at this point, we are done. Like, it is factored because we're able to pull out a GCF, but we are done at this point. We just couldn't do slide divide bottoms up with what was left. Okay? All right. So let's do H. So let's pull out our GCF. Our GCF on this one is going to be 2, which leaves us with 4x squared minus 4x minus 15. Okay, and let's try to factor out this polynomial or this trinomial. So we'll do our slide. We'll see if this one works. So 4 times 15 is going to be negative 60. Whoops. And we've got negative 4 here. All right, so let's try to find two numbers that work for that. And that's going to be negative 10 and positive 6. Okay, so still keeping that 2 out front because that's going to be part of our answer. We've got x minus 10, x plus 6. We're going to divide by 4 because you're dividing it by, you know, what's in that trinomial there, not the 2. 2 is just kind of part of your final answer. Okay, 10 is not divisible by 4, neither is 6. So this is one like we did earlier. You just reduce those fractions. Keep that 2 there so we don't forget about it. Okay, so if we reduce 10 over 4, that's going to be 5 over 2. If we reduce 6 over 4, that's going to be 3 over 2. So we've reduced those fractions, and now we can do bottoms up. So we have still have our 2 out front, and it'd be 2x minus 5 and 2x minus 3. And that will be our final answer.